You may have felt, in the past months, a strange sensation that something inside you has shifted in a silent and unexpected way. Maybe you've noticed that small situations trigger intense reactions, like sudden anxiety tightening your chest or a sadness that appears without warning. Perhaps you've caught yourself having bursts of irritation that explode too quickly, or a deep melancholy that seems to drain all your energy. Some days, you feel like you're no longer yourself. On others, you fear you're losing control. And when you try to explain this to someone, you often receive empty answers. It's just stress. You're overreacting. Just calm down. But inside, there's a real fear, the fear of losing your mind. The truth, however, is far more human, far more biological, and far less about fault. What you're experiencing is not weakness, not exaggeration. It is your internal chemistry shifting in profound ways. And as these emotional changes surface, a deep sense of isolation often follows. Not because you are truly alone, but because very few people understand what it means to go through menopause while being a mother, a professional, a partner, a caregiver, a woman who has carried the weight of the world for years. Society expects you to remain strong, steady, balanced, and resilient, even when your body is navigating one of the most complex biological transitions of adult life. This invisible expectation creates guilt, self-pressure, and even shame. After all, how do you explain crying over something you can't even name? Or the way your patience seems to vanish as if someone has pulled an invisible thread? Here, in this space, you are not judged. You are understood. Because everything you feel has real roots inside your body. These emotional shifts of menopause rarely announce themselves. They arrive quietly, often hidden between sleepless nights, accumulated stress, and the overload you've carried for decades. One day you wake up and realize that simple tasks feel heavy. Small interactions, replying to a message, organizing a drawer, leave you exhausted. You find yourself snapping over trivial things, as if your mind is constantly tense, ready to burst. At other times, a sudden sadness falls over you like a silent shadow. This doesn't mean you are becoming unstable. It means your brain is struggling to adapt to a new hormonal rhythm, one that affects neurotransmitters responsible for mood, energy, and emotional balance. This is not weakness. It is adaptation. Estrogen, the hormone that has been with you since adolescence, influences far more than your menstrual cycle. It helps regulate serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for well-being and emotional stability. When estrogen drops, serotonin drops with it. That's why you may feel sadness out of nowhere, irritability, or constant anxiety. Progesterone, which once helped calm your system, also fluctuates, intensifying internal tension. Meanwhile, cortisol, the stress hormone, rises because your body perceives hormonal change as a threat and tries to compensate. Sleep becomes fragmented. Energy disappears. And slowly, a storm forms, not imagined, not exaggerated, not a lack of strength. Pure biology, pure science, and absolutely not your fault. When we combine all of this, lower estrogen, fluctuating progesterone, higher cortisol, poor sleep, and years of responsibilities, it's natural to experience emotional symptoms like anxiety waves, panic sensations, loss of motivation, mental exhaustion, and even moments of deep apathy. Some women describe sudden rage, a spark that becomes a fire. Others feel a fog settling over their thoughts, making concentration difficult. Many fear they're no longer in control of themselves. All of this is part of a neurological response to hormonal transition. And the more you understand this process, the less frightening it becomes. This is not the end of your stability. It's an intense, but temporary transformation. The hardest part is that, on top of all this internal chaos, many women carry heavy guilt. Guilt for losing patience with their children. Guilt for not having the same work performance. Guilt for not being the calm partner they used to be. Guilt for feeling disconnected from themselves. But this guilt is not yours. It was given to you by a society that demands perfection from women at every stage of life, without acknowledging that bodies change, emotions shift, and the brain needs care too. No woman should feel shame for something that is purely biological. You are not failing. You are moving through a powerful, though uncomfortable, phase of your life. And as overwhelming as this might feel, there are real, achievable, and effective paths to regain your emotional balance. Speaking with a doctor about hormones or natural alternatives can open possibilities you may not have considered. Practices like light exercise, consistent sleep, evening routines with fewer stimuli, brief moments of intentional breathing, time outdoors, and mindful pauses throughout the day help your nervous system stabilize. Supplements such as magnesium, omega-3, and specific vitamins may offer support with proper guidance. Therapy, especially during times of transition, helps organize your thoughts and relieve the sensation of overwhelm. And tracking your symptoms brings clarity. What once felt random and chaotic begins to make sense. There is also a deeper emotional layer. Menopause marks not just the end of a biological cycle but the beginning of a new version of yourself. A version more conscious, more selective with energy, more aligned with your essence. Many women discover strength they never saw before. They find emotional freedom, mental clarity, and personal power. The discomfort you feel now does not signal decline. It signals transformation. Your body is changing, yes, but this does not diminish you. It prepares you for a chapter that can be wiser, fuller, and more authentic. And before we end, there is a question for you. One that may stay with you long after this video ends. What if this moment in your life is not about loss, but about rebirth? What if behind this emotional turbulence, a stronger, clearer, more grounded version of you is awakening? What part of yourself are you ready to reclaim? Your peace, your voice, your confidence, your light. Sit with this question, because your answer might be the beginning of your new awakening.